Once upon a time, I thought that experimenting on the most vulnerable people was a crime, but apparently now it's not only the rule of the land and practice, but it's actually being charged to taxpayers unbeknowingly. We are literally paying for prisoners and people that are incarcerated to be experimented on when it comes to a fake gender reassignment surgeries and procedures that are impossible. To date, before we start this video, let me be clear. 100% of all gender reassignment surgeries or efforts that have been made in all of human history, 100% of them have all failed. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
That's the fundamental problem I have, is you guys are spending money on too many things. Things like literally paying for laser hair removal and boob jobs for transgender prison inmates, men who want to go in the women's prison and feel more feminine.
Right.
Do you really believe that taxpayer money should be spent on something like that?
It might be a difference in how we look at the role that these institutions can play, but I believe that I would believe that there are probably 100 things before we get to.
Doesn't matter. I'm asking you a question.
And making use of those kinds of resources within a prison.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Do you believe that taxpayer money should be spent giving a prison inmate laser hair removal?
I do. Yeah.
And that's why people think I'm like a racist person or evil. It's not that. It's just that there is a clear, distinct pattern of mental illness and psycho behavior that is coming from a particular group. Every evil, nonsensical, anti-human, everything that we've been seeing happening around us in society, it's all spearheaded by one particular group of people. There's no way that you were 13% of the population, well, now you're 9%. And you're in the front of every single, not just with pushing the bills to decriminalize pedophilia, not when it comes to opening the borders. Oh, no one who's illegal on stolen land. No, not when it comes to, oh, we should decriminalize crime because it's reparations. We couldn't go to jail for shoplifting. Now it's, yes, if your taxpayer money should go towards paying for gender reassignment surgery for people that are in prison, boob jobs and laser hair removal. Where does you being comfortable fit into the whole purpose of you being in prison? You're supposed to be uncomfortable in prison. You're not there to be happy. You're not there to find yourself. You are there because you are a public safety hazard. We are hoping that you can be reformed, but for a lot of these men, for example, there is no reforming them. So their next option is, okay, we're going to neuter them, get them to remove their testes, put breast on them, fill them up with a bunch of hormones, and then just release them back into the public. Yes, that is the absolute plan. It's crazy. The last time I was in Los Angeles, because I live in downtown LA, it was like a Saturday night and we were outside of a bar. Out of like, let's say 100 women that walked by, 50 of them were men cosplaying as women. And we're like, what the hell is this? Because this is new. All of this stuff is new, where they're literally giving men these hormones and doing these procedures on prisoners. This is all experimental science. None of this is like actual. We don't know the long-term effects that it has on these men mentally or even physically. We know it's dangerous. We know when you do bottom surgery, you get sepsis because they're using your lower intestines to make a fake organ, pretending to be a woman's organ. And eventually the fecal matter in your lower intestines will seep into your bloodstream and you'll get a blood infection and pass away. We know there's a literal medical danger in doing these procedures, but they're just practicing and experimenting on these men. And then they're offering them a lower prison sentence if they start taking the hormones and go through this fake transition procedure. This is horrible. This is the island of Dr. Moreau. This should not be something that is funded by the public, and we do not know, and we don't have a say so. So I keep pointing out that why is it everyone from this one group, from the 13, why is it that they put them at the front of every sick and evil agenda that we can come up with? It's never equal. It's never other people. It's always them. Why is that?
Holy Shaun.
I think if that's probably 100 things before we get to.
Doesn't matter. I'm asking you a question.
Or making use of those kinds of resources within a prison.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Do you believe that taxpayer money should be spent giving a prison inmate laser hair removal?
I do. Yeah. I think
Holy Shaun.
I think if that's
crazy.
I think if that's somebody who is in a state-run facility, there are many people who might be within that correctional facility that are undergoing all kinds of personal transformations that it'd be very difficult for people on the outside to comprehend. Yeah.
The issue is that represents a mindset that you'd spend our money on anything. You'd spend our money on anything.
No, I don't believe that's true.
If you will spend money, Shaun, our money that we work hard for, the money that people who are far less well off than I am see come out of their wallet every day. And if you would say that you would take that money and you would spend it so a convicted killer could get a boob job and laser hair removal, I cannot. That's a mindset that is broken beyond repair. I'd rather.
You got to think about it. You know, one of the arguments that we make from the right is that there is no more coexisting with the left, because the left, you can just watch this clip and rewind this video, share this video with your friends, by the way, like and subscribe. If you know, the more people that share this content, the more subscribers I'm going to get. I'm actually on my way to 100,000. We're working our way up. These are my new channels, barely monetized. So I appreciate your support. But think about what I'm saying. There is no reconciliation with people that are not mentally there anymore. They're gone. They're gone. Listen to what this man is saying. He wants to give boob jobs and he wants to continue funding laser hair removal for free and have it given away to men that are incarcerated in prison for crimes like murder, rape, burglary, etc. There's no way we can coexist with people in that state of mind. The only way we're able to coexist with that state of mind before is because they did not have microphones. There weren't such thing as podcasts where these people felt comfortable speaking in the public realm and actually espousing these insane ideas. If people think about it, if I'm here as a regular person, if I want to go get laser hair removal as a man or as a woman, I have to go pay for it myself. In what universe in the United States do a capitalist society do we fund free elective procedures? This is not him, having a tooth removed or he had a pancreatic, something exploded in his body when he has to get a surgery. This is elective. This is optional. And you're in jail. Why are they helping fund you to have medical procedures while in prison? This is why now people don't fear jail anymore. That's why when people say, Rico, you're really harsh because you say we should be able to remove birthright citizenship from Americans. 1,000%, we're going to have to. Prison is no longer a deterrent for committing crimes anymore, because what if you're already gay? If you go out and commit a bunch of murders and they're telling you, yeah, we're going to send you to prison. That's like telling a kid, hey, you're in trouble. We're going to send you to Disneyland. Oh, please don't send me to Disney World. Oh, I hate the rides and cotton candy. You're literally rewarding. This is what they want. They can go to these jails and get everything for free and a reduced sentence, even for crimes like murder, and be let back out into the public. We cannot coexist. We have children. We have families. These people, like this man right here in this video.
That money go to someone who needs food on their table. I'd rather that money go to someone and you would spend it so a convicted killer got money on anything.
Listen,
personal transformation.
This man is gay. He has no children. He has no wife. There is no future for him in his lifestyle. His only goal is to destroy. This is not about harmony. This is not about peace. This is not about bygones being bygones. Love is love. There is nothing else for this man to do besides try to destroy your children and our futures in this country. They don't like us. They hate us. They hate reality. He's in no way attached to reality. In his mind, she says, well, yeah, you will spend our money on anything. And he's like, well, no, that's not true. And she's like, you want to give breast implants to people that are in prison for life, and you want us to fund laser hair removal. So what would you say no to funding? The only answer is anything that would benefit someone white. Those are the only things that they would not ever support. But when it comes to their agenda, their sickness, absolutely anything goes. There's no way we can repair the damage and live next door to these people. These people are insane. These people are mentally unwell. They're not stable. There's no way we can raise children and have a stable society when we're cohabitating a small space with people that are mentally ill and have this agenda, and they're pushing it forward. This has to be stopped. We cannot continue to let this fester.
That it'd be very difficult for people on the outside to comprehend.
The issue is that represents a mindset that you'd spend our money on anything. You'd spend our money on anything.
No, I don't believe that's true.
If you will spend money, Shaun, our money that we work hard for, the money that people who are far less well off than I am see come out of their wallet every day. And if you would say that you would take that money and you would spend it so a convicted killer could get a boob job and laser hair removal, that's a mindset that is broken beyond repair. I'd rather that money go to someone who needs food on their table. I'd rather that money go to someone who needs a little bit of help to pay their rent that month.
Right.
And so I think you can look at it. You are picking one over the other.
No, I'm saying in the same way that you're saying you can care about it all, I'm saying that we can be a state that has more of what we need.
There comes a point where you have to stop taking money from people. There comes a point where the government has to stop taking money from people. And you believe there's no ceiling for you.
It says here, her name is Brandi Kruse, by the way, on X. Washington Democrats say the state is in a budget crisis. Okay, so they're saying that this entire state is in a budget crisis. But why? Look at what they're spending their money on. And must pass an income tax in Washington state. Yet they have enough money to get laser hair removal and boob jobs for trans prison inmates. State Representative Shaun Scott defends it as health care. This man was elected. This mentally ill, woke, and psycho was literally voted in Washington state. These people have zero regard. Let's see how much that costs. Let's see. Hey, Arthur, quick question. What's the average cost of a boob job for a transgendered man or a man pretending to be a woman, but he wants to get a breast implant? How much is each procedure? How much does that cost on average?
The average cost of breast augmentation in the US typically ranges between $6,000 and $12,000. That includes surgeon's fees, implants, anesthesia, and facility costs. For anyone pursuing it, transgender or not, the price is comparable. Of course, costs vary based on location, the surgeon's experience, and other factors.
Okay, now you see what this topic is in the thread. Apparently, in Washington state, they are funding giving breast augmentation surgery to men that are in prison. How many men can you look up have received this surgery already? And how many are they projecting are going to want this surgery? And why is it that they can justify taxpayers paying for this when it's an elective surgery for someone that's incarcerated for crime? What am I missing here, Arthur?
In Washington state, there are about 280 transgender inmates in custody, and as of a recent consent decree, the Department of Corrections is required to offer gender-affirming surgeries when medically necessary. However, there's no clear public data on exactly how many breast augmentations have been done or how many are expected. The justification often hinges on court rulings that categorize certain procedures as medically necessary care, though the policy remains controversial among taxpayers.
Are you kidding me? Okay, Arthur, explain to me, what does consent decree mean, and how can something like that get passed in the United States where there, because a lot of us we believe taxation is theft. How are you taking money from us and giving it to surgeries for trans people in jail? This and that's a mental illness in itself. Why are we using tax money to reaffirm mental illness? How is this a thing with a consent decree? What is that?
A consent decree is essentially a court-approved agreement between parties to resolve a dispute without admitting fault or going through a full trial. In the context of prisons, these often result from lawsuits. Maybe inmates or advocacy groups sued, arguing that denying certain treatments violates constitutional protections, like the Eighth Amendment's ban on cruel and unusual punishment. Once the state agrees to settle, the decree is legally binding. Whether one believes it's justified or not, the courts often defer to medical standards. The broader debate, whether taxpayers should fund it, is a political one, but the legal mechanism stems from the court settlement, not a legislative vote.
What can we do to block this so we can protect taxpayers and our dollars from going to nonsensical, wasteful spending, like providing laser hair removal and breast implants for people that are incarcerated for crimes like murder?
Challenging or reversing something like this is fundamentally a policy and legal process. First, citizens can pressure elected officials, governors, state legislators, to re-examine or limit funding. Second, advocacy groups or taxpayers can file their own lawsuits, challenging the scope of what's considered medically necessary. Third, legislative change could redefine state policy or funding rules. Lastly, raising public awareness through media or advocacy might shift political will. But blocking a court-ordered consent decree itself generally requires either legal appeal or policy changes that adjust future applications of taxpayer dollars.
Thank you, Arthur. Yeah, you don't have to reply to this, but this is insane. When I tell people we lost the entire West Coast years ago, they're no longer under the federal government, they're not really a part of the United States. This is what I mean. This is what I mean. These states, Washington State, Oregon, California, they are no longer following the norms of American culture. Everything they're doing is outside of what the people want. It's like they're building their own separate countries. And it's like when you're letting the prisoners run the prison. This is so ridiculous and un-American. The fact that money is taken from Americans to fund surgeries for prisoners makes zero sense. And these are not life-saving surgeries. These are surgeries that are unnecessary for these people to survive. This is unheard of. So this is what I mean by we're going to have to take back our states. We can't just leave them up to themselves. Look at what's happening. They're being destroyed. And this is medically necessary. We need to challenge that and literally redefine what it means to have something that is medically necessary. This is some of the most unnecessary. That's like saying me getting a tattoo on my chest is medically necessary. It's not. You getting breast implants is an elective surgery. No insurance providers in the outside world will pay for they're not going to cover that with your insurance because it's an elective surgery. You know what, Arthur, let me ask you a question. How is it that insurance companies for people not in prison will not cover your breast implants under a necessary procedure? You'd have to pay that on your own, but yet they're willing to say breast implants for people in jail are medically necessary. How do they reconcile that, Arthur?
The difference lies in the context and the legal interpretations. Private insurance operates on commercial terms. It covers procedures it deems medically necessary for health or survival. Elective procedures, like cosmetic augmentation, are typically excluded. In prisons, the legal lens is different. Courts have ruled that withholding care that they interpret as essential for treating a diagnosed condition, such as gender dysphoria, could violate constitutional protections against cruel and unusual punishment. Thus, in that environment, if a doctor deems it necessary to alleviate serious harm tied to that condition, it might be court-backed. It's not insurers making the call, it's a legal precedent based on constitutional interpretation. Many people challenge that, and that's where public policy debates and legal advocacy come into play.
Okay, if you were able to discern all of this, what is the source of the main problems with this entire situation? Where is this coming from? Where is it coming from that this is acceptable all of a sudden in Washington state? And do other states follow this same? How many other states follow this same nonsensical game plan?
This stems from the intersection of legal challenges and evolving medical standards. Over decades, courts have ruled that prisons must provide care for serious medical needs, including mental health conditions. As medical associations like the American Medical Association recognize gender dysphoria as a condition requiring treatment, some courts followed suit. Washington, like some other states, settled lawsuits via consent decrees to avoid prolonged litigation. It's not unique to Washington. Several states have faced similar legal pressures, though the specific policies differ. Ultimately, this comes from a legal framework interpreting constitutional protections broadly. If people view it as nonsensical or misaligned with public will, the response would be political, advocating for policy changes or legal reform. In short, it's a mix of medical classification, court precedent, and state policy choices, all of which can be challenged if the public desires.
Arthur, I want you to make a note of this subject. This is going to be something I'm going to run on whenever I do run from whatever office. I want you to make this one of my primary goals, is to get this blocked and overturned. And I want to make sure I make advertisement talking about this subject. And I'm going to lean on this heavy, because once my constituents or people who support me see my position on this topic, you're going to see how many people literally agree with me and feel the same way, but we had no idea this was going on. I'm going to lean on this. I want you to memory hold this, and I'm going to come up with marketing material. We're going to talk about this more later. Do me a favor. There are people who do not know about this that live in Washington state that are affected. I want you guys to share this video, like the channel. We need to send this to all of our friends and family. We need to let them know what's going on in these states. California is doing the same. And there's several other states allegedly. Arthur, give me a list of other states that are doing this.
At the federal level, the U.S. Bureau of Prisons allows inmates to request gender-affirming surgery, but only a small number have been approved so far. California has explicitly approved around 20 surgeries, and Washington provides such surgeries under a settlement. Policies vary widely in other states, with some explicitly denying surgery, others facing legal battles, and some remaining ambiguous. Overall, this is rooted in legal interpretations of the Eighth Amendment, which requires reasonable medical care in prison.
I will literally make this pretty much one of the hills. One of the main things that I'm going to run on will be ending policies like this. And if you see where I stand on this subject, you can pretty much guess where I'm going to stand on everything else. There's certain key issues that you can use to define one person, their judgment and where they stand on certain subjects. This right here will let everyone know who I am and where I stand, and why they should agree, why they should, want to support me. They have to. There's no excuse for this. And I think this is going to just shock Americans, no matter what background you are, no matter what side you are when it comes to the ICE issue. It's going to be really difficult for anybody to defend this. So we need to make this more of a public thing. So please, if you can, like the video, subscribe. This is just complete insanity. We've lost the plot.
You think that the government, so you believe that the government should cease to function? I don't understand.
No, I believe that there has to be a limit to the amount of taxation.
Yeah, she's absolutely right. There has to be. There's no way this is where our tax money is going. I'll be honest, looking at all the fraud, looking at all the waste and abuse, and then seeing that they're doing elective surgeries on criminals and they're expecting tax. I'll be honest, there's less and less justification for taxation anymore. It's just not there. It's just gone. Roads and infrastructure can be privately funded. I don't know where our we have too much tax money. At one point in time, we were sending this money through USAID all over the world. Billions. We were giving billions away to Somali daycare owners and God knows who else. Fake Medicaid fraud. We have no idea what's going on with this country. But the fact that we have a penny, 1 red cent to donate to prisoners who want to get elective breast implants means we have too much money. We have too much. We literally, the justification for taxing Americans at the rate they do, it's gone now. It's over. It's literally not even on the table anymore. There's no excuse for this. That means we have too much taxation. If we need to go back to the Boston Tea Party, 2%, 3%, this whole 30, 40% taxes, get the hell out of here. For what? So I can pay to get some fucking axe murderers of a man, get him laser surgery on his private parts and his legs. That's what my tax money should be going to. That's what these rebellions were fought over. That's why we want independence from the British, so that we can give criminals a mustache removal surgery for free. No, that's out. Do me a favor, like and subscribe, share the video. I'll be back on another topic in 20 minutes. I need to go get something to drink. This is stressing me out just thinking about this. Come back on. I'll be back on in about 20 minutes. So just look out for my video. Remember, America first, America.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.